Good evening. You have tuned into Ties That Bind. Today is September 30th, 2018. This is a continuation of Healing Our Community, Part 3, Multi-Generational generational Homes. In a series of family economics, I'm your host, Paula Percival. Paula P. Stop. Good evening. You have tuned in to Ties That Bind, September the 30th, 2018. Today is the continuation of Healing Our Community, Part 3, Multi-Generational. In a series of family economics, I'm your host, Paula P., or as I'm known on the radio, PP, and I'm here with James and Tiffany. Excuse me. Tiffany is going to inform you or introduce you to the multi-generational, explain further the advantages, family advantage, and I guess everything.
Hey, Paul, you're breaking up real bad. You're breaking up.
Huh?
You're breaking up real bad. I thought it was just me. That's why I didn't say nothing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm going to cancel. Good evening. You have tuned in to Ties That Bind. Today is September 30th, 2018. I'm lost. This is a continuation of Healing Our Community, Part 3, and it's a multi-generational home. In the series, in a series of family economics. I'm your host, Paula Percival, and we have James and Tiffany, our co-hosts, and Tiffany is going to be introducing us to this family generational home situation, telling you the ins and outs, the advantages and the disadvantages, I'll let her tell you the bulk of it.
Yo, Paula, start it over. Please.
Yeah,
yeah. Please start it over.
Good evening. This is Paula, and tuned into the Ties That Bind. Today is September 2018. Laughing, we were before you all came in. I hate that you all can't be a part of it, but that was something totally different. We're discussing. We're in a series, family economics. Today we're going to be discussing multi-generational homes, and we're going to and Tiffany is going to discuss it with you. So at this point, belabor it. I'm going to turn over to Tiffany.
Thank you, Paula. Good afternoon.
And I forgot to introduce James. James, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. What's going on, family? I'm James, and I'm here to pretty much bridge the gap between the family and the community. I do believe that one day that we'll see our problems are more the same than different, and we will finally come together. So nice speaking with everybody here.
Oh, good. Thank you. Over to Tiffany.
All right, family, this is Tiffany, and I am here to bring the building blocks that we need to heal our family, starting with the family and then bridging out to the community at large. So anytime I come to you, I'm going to first come to you with scripture, and then I'm going to come to you with my ideas about what I think it would take to heal the family, and then, again, the community at large. So with that said, and just like that, the baby's about to wake up. With that said, I'm going to be talking about family economics, okay? So family economics is a pretty broad topic, and there's a few things that we're going to be discussing underneath that. So first thing that I want to talk about with family economics, first of all, is I want to bring us a quick scripture. It's for James and Paula. If you're following along, you can look on the agenda and click under growing under alpha. I see James is already there. It's Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree, yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." So basically, the Lord is telling us that He has given us every tree to eat of, and it's just up to us to tend the fields and make that happen. So the first part of family economics that I want to talk about is growing and raising food. So growing and raising food, the concept that I want to bring to you is called homesteading. Okay, homesteading is essentially taking away the need for money to survive, becoming self-sufficient. We want to get to a place where we no longer have to worry about the rat race and earning $1 to sustain ourselves. This is a long-range goal. This is not something that we'll be able to accomplish today, but soon I hope to be able to get us there as a family. So some of the things that I wanted to discuss, some of the topics or some of the tools that we could use. Hold on, I lost my notes disappeared. Forgive me for that delay. So what is a household? What is a household? So a household is a residential unit where the members of the family pool their resources to at least some degree so that they can provide for the welfare of everybody in the household. Usually the household consists of family members that are linked by blood or marriage, and occasionally there'll be some unrelated members that are within the household. Households are defined on the basis of residence, and families are other relationships, like I said, through marriage. So when it comes to raising food, there's a couple things that we can do to start today to kind of gain our independence from the system that we're in. One of the easy things that we can start doing is growing some of our own crops. And even that is a very easy thing. So how many of you have gone grocery shopping in the past 7 to 10 days? If you got a tomato or a celery stalk or some lettuce, then you can actually start today beginning your process to lean toward homesteading and taking away your dependence on going to the grocery store to get your food. So what that could look like, and you guys can feel free to jump in. I don't want to start talking too much, but what that can look like is, say for instance, today I bought some tomatoes and I bought some celery. Well, I'm going to make a sandwich with those tomatoes this evening. I'm going to save those seeds and dry them out, and I can actually plant those tomatoes. So next year I won't have to buy a single tomato. I'll be able to plant my own tomatoes, and that bush will yield me fruit throughout the spring and summer and probably into the fall, and I won't have to buy any tomatoes at all next year. Right. Same thing with celery. And I think, Paula, you were talking yesterday when we were chatting about this topic, building kind of like a mini greenhouse. You don't have to have acres and acres and acres of land to start homesteading today. You could plant in your windowsill if you have an apartment. You can plant herbs in your windowsill. You can plant small plants on your balcony if you have one. Or you can build a small bed in your yard to begin the process of growing your own food. I don't know, Paula, if you want to kind of explain the garden bed thing that you were talking about.
Well, the garden I have to credit to whom I got it from. It was a couple of years ago. I was watching what is the name of that food show on ABC? They were, and it'll come back to me. It's not The View, but it was something. It's before The View, and they were talking about, because the reason that we're talking about this, and you don't have to. We're not saying you start this community right today, but you can start growing your own fruit because it's healthier. We don't know what we're getting in the grocery stores, but
right.
Yeah, and so they had this. They actually built, I guess, what you call it, a greenhouse or.
Oh yeah, they essentially they they took like a small raised garden bed and made it into like a very small greenhouse.
Yes, a greenhouse.
Like, very small scale, yeah.
Yeah, it was a small scale, but it was enough for you to plant tomatoes and squash and all this stuff in there. And you don't have to have a lot. There are a lot of times we start out wanting to do something extra, just over the top, when you can just start out, like Tiffany said, with putting a plant on your porch, putting it in your window, putting it in your house. And but they had it, and they told you where you can buy the mechanism at the Home Depot to get it. And it was just what do they call? God, I can't. It was just plumbing a wire that was straight, that you could bend it. So you bend it. You made a rectangular box, and you took the spikes and you took them and bent them from the each long side to the other side. And we did that all the way down, however long you're going to do it. And they had this PCP, or it was called some type of plastic, but it was breathable plastic.
PVC pipe. The PVC pipe.
Yes. They had PCP pipe, and then they had the plastic. They went over it, and then they cut doors into it so that you can keep the moisture in when it was getting really, really hot and when it got really, really cold. And you could maneuver it. You do it the way you want to do it. And that way you can start to, what is the word? You can start to know what it takes to grow a tomato. I know I started growing strawberries, and I had someone else was like, I need you to plant this. And I bought the strawberry plants. I bought the seeds. I bought all this stuff. And we took it and we put it in the ground. We just put it in the ground. But I know there's other things that you had to do to start. You had to prepare the ground. So you can. It's just like it's just a learning process, and it's something that it's going to.
Hello?
How do you say? Yes, can you hear me?
It went out for a second, but you came back in.
Okay, and it's something that you're adding to your household. I even went to buy, do they call them biddies? I don't know what they call them in the real world, but we grew up with chickens. And so I went to buy them, and I took them to this older lady for her because she knew them. But I went and I did all the study of if I had put them at my house, and I had to grow them, and you have to put the little places. Right. So these are things that we have to start thinking about instead of watching. These are things, and games, having our kids, we can have them out there doing something and watching the plants grow. Watching the seed turning into a sprout. This is something this is added things that you're adding to your children. So that's what I needed. That's what I want to go with purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to agree with you on that. Definitely had to agree with you on that. Also, adding on to that is we have like GMOs and stuff that's out there. So we actually have artificial fruits and stuff that's out there that do not bear any seeds that we have to really look out for. And so that's something to look out. Yeah, so that's something you have to look out for. Also, paying attention to what you're paying versus growing your own food and actually buying in the store. Sure, the upfront cost for starting your own garden might be a little bit more, but after a while, you'll see that it's way more beneficial and way more cost effective when you're actually growing your own food.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to say there are ways to make it more affordable and to even not really feel it. Like I was saying before, if you've already went out this week and you've already bought tomatoes, well, you've already got enough seeds to plant enough tomatoes to feed your entire neighborhood. One tomato can feed your whole entire neighborhood for the next 2 years.
But you're saying that, I'm with you, Tiffany. But you're saying that, but this GMO food. I have bought tomatoes, and you have to look at the numbers on the plants. And we'll give this, and I'll give you a list of what you need to be looking for on the vegetables that there's a 4-digit number on there, and it'll tell you whether it's GMO. When we say GMO, it's genetically enhanced. What is it?
Modified.
Genetically
modified.
Yeah, and you're getting this stuff, and you really don't have any seeds. And I know in Australia, they are growing seeds. They have to go now. They've made it. People who have the farms, they have to actually go to the government to get the seeds to grow in their land, and the seeds that they're getting are, what do they call it? A GMO seed. And then so every year
it's a soil too.
It's a what now?
Yeah, it's a soil that they're getting. It's a soil that they're getting too that's corroding the ground that they're trying to plant in as well. So you can only grow specific crops, and they only grow like one time, and that's what they're dealing with.
Right. Yeah. It only grows once. So, and that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tiffany.
Well, just to clarify, so yes, those are things that you have to look out for, and one way that you can prevent that is to look for heirloom crops. So heirloom crops are crops where the seeds are specifically taken from a plant that's in someone's garden. So you don't necessarily have to go down to Wally World and get, those weird pink tomatoes that don't have any flavor. You can find, go to
smell like fish,
or go to a Whole Foods market, or go to somebody who you know is already growing and just ask for a tomato. Then you've got your seeds that are within that tomato. So just to clarify, yes, you do. You should look out for irradiated fruit and vegetables, and you should look out for GMO fruits and vegetables. And maybe we could look at posting a document on the webpage to show people what they can look out for, and resources to find healthy, whole, living fruit.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but touching on my third point as well. Also, you could turn that growing your food also into a business itself, if that's what you're looking for. So you might be the only person. And me personally, I buy fruit off the side of the road all the time from farmers that sell their crops all the time. And I know it's good food. They always have seeds in them. Don't have to worry about that. And you just know it's natural food, and people love that. You know what I'm saying? There's always people up there every time I go up there. So that's another thing that you can look at.
Yes. And then you're investing into your community. You're helping someone else to continue to get what it is you want, because they're not doing that anymore. I agree. Go ahead, James. I don't want to interrupt you, but I had to put that in there.
No, that's fine. No, that's pretty much my point. So that's something else that you could look at as you're growing crops, because like you said, you could be the person in the community that has good fruits and vegetables, and people will always come up to you.
Right. I agree with that.
So the objective of the homesteading, so it can go from you planting one tomato plant to being able to sustain your entire family. But we have to start, building blocks. We have to start one step at a time. So starting now, you can go ahead and plant that small, get your kids involved. Get yourself some little paper cups. Get yourself a couple of, bag of soil, and plant some of those tomato seeds. Plant some of those cucumber seeds. It'll be a learning lesson for them, and it'll be the start of your independence as your family, for your family. So that's your start now. Then you can start prioritizing what it is that you want to do. Do you want to just plant fruits and vegetables, or do you want to start looking at other types of produce, like investing in some chickens? If you have at least a half an acre of land, then maybe you can consider building a coop and getting some chickens. So that way you'll have some meat, and you'll also be able to have eggs and stuff if you eat that kind of thing. So once you start small, then you can start prioritizing what it is you want to do. And once you set your priorities, then you can start planning for how you want to increase your crop, basically your crop load, the things that you have available to eat. Taking into consideration the seasons, the zones that you're in, because you can't grow everything everywhere. So you have to know what to grow where you are, and you have to know what season things can be planted and harvested. So that you can actually plan out the start of your homesteading.
And I want to add. Can I add to that? You need to fertilize your ground, because the earth is not yielding the stuff that it needs to yield, because we have taken so much from it, the nutrients and everything that it needs. And so you need to buy fertilizer, and then you have to be careful about that too. But I just wanted to add to that.
Right. So that's exactly right. So you want to make sure that, first of all, make sure you're getting good soil, and that you do, because whatever you put into your soil is going to eventually go into your food and into your body and into your family's body. So look at it from that perspective. I suggest looking at old school ways of doing things. Look at how the Indians fertilized. They didn't go out to the Walmart or to the Home Depot and buy a green box and said food fertilizer. you know, they would take a fish that they fished out of the ocean or out of the creek or river, and they would plant that fish alongside whatever they were going to plant, and that would be the fertilizer that would provide the nitrogen. It would provide all the things that the plant would need to get it started. So consider that.
Exactly.
Consider composting. Composting is something that has become composting is something that has become very, very accessible to even suburban families and urban families, because you can get a compost machine that you can keep in your house or on your patio. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space, and you can take your food waste, not meat, of course. You can't put meat in the composter, only paper waste and organic food, produce, growing food, not going food. So your carbohydrate foods like your plants, coffee grounds, paper, newspaper, that kind of thing. Those are things that you can put in your composter, and you can actually produce your own soil that you don't have to depend on, you know, going to the store or whatever. And you know exactly what's in it because you put it in there.
Exactly.
That's right. Also, I compost my grass shavings whenever I cut my grass. So that's another way that you could do it too, and just pile it up.
My dad
in the woods right in the backyard. Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a future topic we can delve into some of these things like how to compost and those kind of things, because it's actually kind of a fun and interesting topic, and it's a fun little family project that you can do, something that you can do for the entire growing season with your family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because kids love that. I mean, I know my dad, he would plant the garden, but then he would give us a seed, and he would put it in a little thing, and just tell us to take our fingers and put down there and press it in there, and every day we would come and watch the seed, the plant coming out of the seed in the ground, because it was a glass little thing, and you can watch it grow. Kids love that, and that's something they could take to school, you know, and report on.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And you're giving them a living skill, you know, something that they can use to survive on. Because one day, you know, all these systems are gonna fail, and all these things that we see are gonna pass away, and you got to be able to survive when that happens. And you know, I'm not you know, per se a doomsday prepper, but I believe that, you know, this thing is coming to a head, and it's time to start preparing yourself and preparing your children so that we don't have to be dependent on the world for just to survive.
Right.
That's true. Then we have to realize these people are the people that are in charge of us now. They're only about the money. I just heard that they have passed a law that these people who were taking this poisonous gas, and they had to put them in containers and take them in and bury them somewhere so that it wouldn't get into the atmosphere. They have given them permission to release it into the air without telling us anything, and no one has said anything. And then you wonder why people are getting sick. That's why they're getting sick. So we need to be careful, you know. Go ahead. I don't want to keep talking about it, but yes, I know you're on a. I know you like to stay strict to your thing, Tiffany. But that is amazing. That to me it blew my mind. I'm just like, why would you do that? You know, and because they think they're going to go out of space and leave everybody else down here, but it's not going to work like that. But God, you know. So that's another subject.
That is another subject. They really do think, they believe that they actually put somebody on the moon, and they actually do believe that they can be colonizing Mars. You know, whatever they can believe, what they want to believe. I'll be here on Earth.
I'll stay right here. Y'all can go. Go ahead.
That's a whole other subject. We need to write that down. I got But anyway, so let's continue on, because we do only have an hour, so let's continue on. So
that's okay.
The next topic that I want to talk about, still under the topic of growing, but growing, raising, and teaching children. Okay, I'm not going to expound on this too much, because my final topic is going to kind of encompass this and talk. We're kind of going to circle back to this. But to start, if you look under growing, under the letter B, there's another scripture there. It's Psalms chapter 127, verses 3 through 5. So this is how it goes. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are the children of the youth. Happy is the man that have his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. And basically what this is saying is children are precious. They are an asset. They are the asset. and they are the reason that we do everything that we're doing so that the next generation can carry forward.
Yes.
So,
Right.
Like I said, our greatest asset, and all these things that we do and that we're planning is so we can make this family better and our community better and the world better for our babies that are coming up behind us.
Right. I agree. I agree. And I was thinking, I would say this, and I'm going to let you finish. I was thinking as I was doing some research on what we were talking about, because we don't want to we're talking, and it seems as though we're having a good time on here, but everything that we are talking to, what I'm going to start doing is putting at least a reference on the website so that you can go there and look for yourself. This is not something that we're making up. This is not something. It's our opinion. Yes, it's our opinion on what's going on. But I was thinking, and I'm going to leave it like that for that. But I was thinking about you and James. You all sort of grew up part-time in a multi-generational home. I think you had Grandpa and me and then your mom, and then we had all that underneath one roof. Then we had a bee, then we had we had all that, and then you garner certain things from that.
Wait, hold on, Paula. You're getting ahead of the topic. Hold on, we hadn't got to that part yet. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're getting there. Okay, no, we're getting there. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about, the next point is taking care of Grandma and Grandpa. It's a sad state today where you see old people knowing and fearing that they're going to end up alone in a hospital room to die without their family around them. Yeah. It's a terrible thing, and that's something that I don't want for my family. And I'm sure a lot of you don't want for yours, but it's becoming, society has taught us that this is the norm, that once your parents get past retirement age, the first sniffle, then it's time to put them in a home. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to take care of your parents. You're supposed to take care of your parents and your grandparents, and so that they can basically enjoy the fruits of their labor, which was you, essentially.
Right. You know what? Yeah. Before we touch all the way on this topic, I want to go back to growing up and raising the kids, or teaching the kids. I just want everybody to realize that we're in a system, especially for Black families. We're in a system that doesn't teach our kids about the greatness that they had in their life. The most that they're going to learn is really about how they used to be slaves, and that's pretty much, and that they probably came from Africa. All right, so I think it's if they even get that, they're definitely going to get that they were slaves for sure. But it's important to teach your kids in the home, because now they have somebody to look up to that looks like them, that's going to teach them about themselves. And that's something that they're never going to get in those schools. And you wonder why these kids growing up crazy and looking all types of ways and trying to be everybody else but themselves. It's because they don't have anything to look up to. Like I was watching this video the other day. This guy was like, all right, we're going to take a group selfie. Right? He's like, so I'm going to ask y'all this question too. Whenever you're taking a selfie, what's the first thing that you look for when you're looking at the picture? When you're taking a selfie with a group of people, exactly. The first thing you're going to look at is your okay, go. I said whenever you're taking a selfie or you're taking a picture with a group of people, what's the first thing that you look for? Hello? I think Tiffany might have, I think she got out the, I think her phone might have hung up.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yes, you here? Tiffany?
She's not here.
Okay, all right.
She'll
I'll ask you the question again so everybody can understand. If you're taking a picture with a group of people, right, or some type of selfie, what's the first thing that you look at when you're looking at the picture?
I'm looking to see what I look like, see if I'm coming out right, if I'm taking a selfie,
That's right. And exactly. So naturally, and this is not being funny or this is not you just being conceited or anything, naturally when you looking at things and going to class or whatever, you're going to look for yourself. So a lot of these kids are bored because they don't see themselves within this educational system that they're currently in. And that's why it's really, really important to actually homeschool your kids so they can get that type of gratification, knowing that they are somebody, and not just hearing it, not just thinking it or hoping it. Not only will they just have dreams and aspirations, they'll see other people that actually did it. And I wish I could bring up my list of inventions and stuff that are made by black people. Just about everything that we're dealing with now, from the telephone, refrigerator to a lot of things. A lot of things.
To the light, to the what do they call it? The traffic light.
Right, to the traffic light. Yeah, all that stuff. And you'll never know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never know it not unless you actually take time to look at that stuff.
Yeah, right. And that's why the Bible tells you, I know in Deuteronomy 11:19 it says, all ye shall teach them, you're speaking to them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou layest down, and when thou risest up. This is something you have to do all the time. It's not a part-time thing. You there?
Yeah, I got booted out of the phone call. So I actually was calling back in. I don't think you guys knew I was gone.
Yeah. I heard. We knew.
So we kept.
But yeah.
Got there. Go ahead, Jane.
Right. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing, and also teaching your kids positive affirmations about themselves, just like what you said, something that they can look at or talk to themselves in a positive manner, because normally, and I know this from my own experience, you're not going to get that in a public school setting. It's mostly negative. So teaching them to grow up to be positive and to say positive things about themselves. You know, we used to grow up calling each other names like you're blacker than this, or you're too black, you're African booty scratcher. You know, not knowing what we're really saying, but you know, downing ourselves all the time. And that's something that you could teach your kids within the home.
That was something that was passed down through the generations, though. That was something that was passed
down. Yeah, absolutely.
But not from just the home. That was. It was to make you, that was to belittle you, and then somewhere down the line, we took it on, and we thought that dark skin was something horrible, when really it's something black, and we don't know that.
Right.
You know, I won't. That's another subject. I won't go there. I started going to another subject. No. Go ahead, James.
No. I mean, I just want to touch on that because we kind of breezed by it, and I had a little bit more to say on that topic.
Well, that's right. Well, like I said, I kind of breezed by it because the final topic was going to kind of circle back to all these points, and I was just trying to not be redundant, I guess, is what I was trying to avoid. But it's all in part of the conversation. It's fine. So the next point is taking care of grandma and grandpa. And if you look at taking care, where it's highlighted there, you'll see a scripture. It's 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for the members of his household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. And that's a very, very powerful scripture. Basically, it tells you, it is expected that you are going to take care of all the members of your household. You don't take members out of your household and put them in a hole to die alone when they start getting ill. You take care of them. You provide a place for them.
I agree.
And that's very important. So I see James has a point there, so I'll let you get your point, James, and then we'll continue into the multi-generational home.
I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, and also it's good for the older folks to be there to pass on the knowledge to the younger generation, and to have a full life with your loved ones, because when you're put in a home, you're in a home with a bunch of strangers. For the most part, you might make a few friends there, but you're going to feel alone when it's all said and done. And we want to make sure when our older people are here, our elders are here, that they're given the best life, and that way we know whenever they pass on, their soul could really be at rest here on this planet.
Yeah, and I have to speak to that because I was involved in it. this is something that you have to start planning for. I never thought my parents were going to die. I never thought that, you know, even though my dad continued to say, I know you're going to be the one that's going to be there to take care of us, and you're going to do this, that, and the other. And I hated it. I hate that I was hating that they put that on me. But it was, in the end, I'm telling you, how do I even start by speaking of this? My mother, because I was there by myself and I was taking care of her, and it got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. And there was no one, I don't care who I asked, you know, even the people that were neighbors who said they were friends. This is why you have to plan for things. And you have to know that you have a responsibility to do certain things. And it was like, you know, I would go and I would spend the night 2 or 3 days a night. But it was taxing. She wanted to be at home, but the home had gotten so to the point where she couldn't be at home, and that bothers me to this day, because my plan was to go ahead and get a loan on the house so she can come back home, but she died before I could implement that. And you don't want, and I say this to say that is another thing. I had an accident last year, and I broke just like the whole left side of my body. My legs were broken, my toes were broken, my ankle was broken, I had 4 ribs broken, I had a severe concussion. And what they do now with, and I say this because it ties back into what we're saying. What they do now is they put you go for rehabilitation in the nursing home. And I did not, and I sat there, and I was just like, Lord, how could you allow this to happen? You have never allowed this to happen to me. But God placed me there for a reason. And the way that those people were treated, it would break your heart. And the children weren't coming. They were living in the houses, but they didn't come to visit them. And then I would find myself talking to them, and by the time I talked to them, for whatever they saw in me, they thought that I could get them out. They thought I could do something that I couldn't do. And I felt hopeless and helpless. And I think God allowed that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it sounds like, and this is your lesson. I can't see your lesson, but it sounds like to explain it so you could see, so it could be illustrated what it looks like when you get dumped in a place like that, because that's not the way it was intended to be.
It's intended to be.
Right.
And I say that to say that I can only say so much because I'm in a process with my lawyer right now, but I'm going through that change of trying to get that fixed. And but I have to do it through legal maneuvers, and it's taken so long, and I have to be in a certain place in order for us to, and now he's getting ready to take it to the Supreme Court, and I'm just like, oh my God, they got that fool up there, and they got, but it's God. You can only do what God allows you to do. Because God placed me there. He allowed me to do something. And I told him, I said, if you do this for me, I said, I have so many people that I talk to these people. I have their names. And they're not. Some of them own businesses and stuff. And I was just like, I said, they need help. And I cannot believe that these nurses that were supposed to be, when the doctor ceases to be, ceases the humanitarian that he's supposed to be, we're in trouble, and we are in trouble. Trust me.
You gotta realize that these places are a business, and no one's going to care for your loved one the way you care for your loved one. And you have to understand, at the end of the day, for them, your loved one is a figure on a spreadsheet. You know, exactly. They represent a certain dollar amount, certain cash flow in and cash flow out. That's what they represent to them at the end of the day. And you can't expect that they're going to get that love and care that you would give them. I was actually watching a news story just this past week. Stop doing that. Just this past week, this lady, I want to say she was about 85. She was really old. around Bill Cosby's age, and that's a whole other topic. But she was invalid in a home, and and her daughter just didn't feel comfortable with the care that she was receiving, so she took her to another doctor to get a second opinion. Come to find out, her mother, who was unable to speak, unable to fight for herself or communicate in any way, had been raped and had contracted an STD, had been raped and sodomized inside the facility. This was just in the news this past week. So, and I'm not saying this to fearmonger, but it's a fact.
No, this is for real. No,
you have to understand that you are not getting the care that you're paying for, and the best care that you ever get is at home. And yes, Paula's right. You do have to plan and prepare. You have to realize that one day, if you should be so lucky, if you should have so much grace, you will live to a ripe old age, and you're going to need that care. So you have to plan for that. Retirement is not all about vacations. Retirement is also planning for your end of life care. So that's a real fact. And leaving it to your children to figure out is selfish and it's cruel, and it'll end up hurting you in the long run.
I think that's really important. Yeah, I think that's really important. And also, I want people to take a look at the other cultures, that are outside of this country, because this country here is a business. This is a corporation, and you can look it up. You can see that America is actually a corporation. It's a business in itself. It's not an actual country. It's not an actual country per se. It's actually incorporated business. So I would just take a look at the other cultures. Look at the Indian culture. Look at the Chinese culture, and look at how they treat their family and their family, and they keep their elders in the home. And these people are very, very, very successful as far as their cultures are concerned. So that's something that you got to look at. Look at the people that are doing it and doing it well, and and just learn from that experience that they're having.
Right, and I agree with that. And we are this society. We have what is the word? We have sold our souls for a bunch of bullcrap, bowl of porridge. We have sold everything we have. I remember when I was in school. I'm going to say this because it's necessary that these parents realize what the teachers are teaching your children. And we went to a predominantly white school, but they would go through extreme measures. But it was just like they only said it when I was in the class, or when there were some black people that were in the class. Well, those are, these are things. Has anybody ever had that your parent put butter on your burns? That is just an old wives' tale, and everything that you were brought up to believe in this stuff works. And now I see shows telling you that butter really works on burns because X, Y, and Z. But they didn't want you. They want you to give up on. They want you to throw away what you have, because if you do that, then divided you are conquered. This is why we are in a place now. We don't know what we are. We see all we know is what we see on television, and that's a bunch of bull crap. You only see these people, even if it's a show that's supposed to be reality. You only see them an hour out of a day. They only take it and put it together the way they want to put it together. And we are going to have to say enough is enough. We're going to have to grow up. We're going to have to learn something. Stop trying to say, I can't do that. You can do anything that God has placed in your heart, in your mind, in your body, what you were born to do. And so I say that, and I'm going to get off of this because there's so much to be said about this, that we're losing our what we were brought up to believe and to know that was so. You might not have wanted to. My grandmother, she could smell my breath and knew that I had a cold. We don't even have doctors who do that. They don't even want to smell your funky breath. They don't want to smell it, and that's your effing job. Just like if I can smell people, because my grandmother, when she did it, I'm just like, how does she know that? Then I learned what she was smelling and what it was. these are things we have to, our older generation, we have to give them props. We have to give them respect for their, what do you call it? Their, you know what I'm calling it.
The wisdom. It's
wisdom. Their
wisdom.
That's the word I'm looking for. You have to give them credit for their wisdom because they have lived decades before you. And you can't say, oh, you're old. What the? And people are making it seem like it's okay. I hear children say that all the time, and I'm just like, what does your parent allow you to say? And yeah, they allow them to say because they ain't talking to them, because they're just on television, and the games are teaching you this stuff. Yeah, and I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna let you finish. But it's just, when I say that, when we started talking about that, it just touched the nerve in me. And
it should. I mean, it really should. We've become so desensitized, to the state of the family. It should touch a nerve, and I hope that it does touch nerves, and I hope that it does make people think that first of all, what we've been taught and shown is not what reality is, and it's not the way things are supposed to be, and it's out of order.
Right.
It's out of order.
It's out of order.
It's time to start reeling those things back in and paying attention to what's going on in our lives and the lives of our families, because it's important. And one day I'm going to be an old gray hair, and I hope that my daughter, who is being really good right now, thank you, I hope that that I've instilled these values in her so that I don't have to worry about, dying in a hole alone by myself. So
Exactly.
With that said, I want to keep pushing on through to the multi-generational home. And because a lot of these things that you guys are talking about, these points that you're covering, these are things that are going to be kind of touched on again. So the multi-generational home, this is my second to last point that I want to cover under family economics. So first thing I want to talk about is the Pew Research organization defines the multi-generational household as one that includes 2 or more adult generations. Living in a multi-generational family has many rewards and benefits for all generations, and I'm just going to go through these. We can stop and spend time on them as we go through. So, one of the first benefits is all the family members that are within the home, and I'm reading. If you click on multi-generational, then you'll see what I'm reading from. All the members in the family experience a higher level of emotional bonding. And closeness across all the generations, and it makes sense because you're all there together. You're experiencing life together, and because you're so close, it's only natural that you'll bond a little bit more than what you would if you only saw your grandparents, once a year or once every couple of years, or only on certain holidays. Let's see. Grandparents provide an important role. They are role models for the socialization of children. They are the teachers of the younger generation. Seeing parents take care of grandchildren. Seeing parents take care of grandparents teaches children what it is to care for your family, for your entire family.
Yes.
Spending time with children can give purpose and meaning to the lives of your older generation, because once you start getting to the point where you can't work anymore, I've heard older people say, once you stop working, you got about 10 years left before your life is over, because it's like you feel like you don't have any purpose anymore. But those children that are in the home, that can be your new purpose, because that's part of the gift that you can give them is your wisdom that you've earned through your years, through your decades, as Paula explained before.
Right.
And like I explained, children learn how to care for elders by watching their parents take care of their parents. Like I already told my mom, and my husband is on board. When my mom decides to quit Mustang sallying around the country, she has a place with us. And Alea will grow up seeing us, take care of her needs and make sure her needs are met, make sure she's good, And that's a lesson that I want her to have.
Right.
Grandparents can do things like they can help with, child care. They can help with homework. They can help with, attending soccer games and that kind of thing. And, it's, to help the parents have a break to be able to take care of their role within the family.
That's
right.
And I agree with that. And I'm going to say, when you said that, I was reading, and I put it in the notes here, and I'm trying to find it because I thought I had saved it, but it was a journal, and it was a worldwide journal, but this is something people don't read, not normal people. They're putting it for people that are listening to it, this is okay for you to put your old people in the nursing home. But they were like, older people, we looked on the socioeconomic and the sociopathic. Older people make children less capable of learning. I'm just like, what the hell? Where are you getting this from? And I went on there to ask them. I still ain't got an answer, but this is insane. And you start reading this stuff, and if you're not taking care of your elders, and you're not you don't know this. And I remember we were talking about this, and this is something else that I started thinking about when Tiffany brought it up, and I haven't said anything about it. My mother, her goal was, she kept saying, we got enough land here, and then I can buy, because a lot of our land, somebody else, they think it's theirs, but it's ours. And she was just like, we all can live on here, and that's my goal. And I'm just like, Mama, I said, that is not going to work. I know, and I'm thinking this, but this is when you a part. And I hate to say this. I know people don't know what I'm talking about when I say that. You have to get unplugged from the matrix to see stuff for real. And I had to start to see her, and I know God allowed me to come and spend time with her because otherwise, because I was going back out of the country. That was not something I wanted to do. My goal was to never come back to Alabama. I was like, oh, my God, no, I can't do it. But she kept calling me. She kept calling me, and I'm just like, Mama, you can't be that sick. What is going on? Why are you saying this? And I thought she was just trying to get me home because she's always trying to get me back home. But that was what she wanted, was everybody to live on that land. And yes, that's what we're talking about, this multi-generational thing.
Right. And, honestly, I had never heard that, and I'm glad to hear it because that's something that there's a reason why James was on the same thinking track while you were on the same thinking track while I was on the same thinking track. And even on my dad's side of the family, all the cousins on that side are even talking in the same direction. There's a reason why we're all being led in that direction.
Yes.
So
let me go ahead. James and I had that conversation that you just said just the other day. There's a reason. I told him, I said, the reason that I came in thinking that he wouldn't understand what I was saying. And I was like, I'm going to ask, and something kept telling me, call him and ask him. It was like, and I say it was like months before I called James and said, I want to do X, Y, Z. You want to do it? And I thought the first thing, I'm saying, no, I don't have time. He's, because I'm thinking blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what? I thought this is something that the bottom of
you're breaking up just a little bit.
Oh,
you're breaking up just a little bit.
Yeah, they're coming back. Is that better?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it. Is that better?
Yeah, you sound fine right now.
Okay. And we have to allow our spirits to talk to us. To intervene for us, because there are things that we don't know that the Holy Spirit can't, that the Spirit can surpass all this. And we wouldn't be on this phone right now talking. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now if it had not been for God allowing this to happen. Everything happened so smoothly because we thought, not going to have time, she's going through something. We won't call her. And then when you said, well, I won't be able to do it constantly. That's why I never asked you, so when are you going to stop being a guest host and start being a host? That's why I stopped. And I was just like, when is she going to say this? Because now this is becoming a long-term thing. And you was just like, I was just waiting, And so we have to allow, sometimes we have to let our heart do the talking. And I can't express it enough. Sometimes we have to cry when we don't want to cry. And it does something to you, and you have to allow that. And I think this is going to be a momentous thing because God is trying to do something great, but it's not just us, because when God starts doing something, it says, I will bring them from the north, the south, the east, and the west. But if you got to start getting ready now, because when the door opens, you're not going to have time to get ready. So I'm going to say that and then turn it back over to you, Tiffany.
Okay. Hold on. I'm having a mommy emergency. Hold on.
All right, that's fine. I talked to Paula for a second. We're gonna get off subject for a second, but whenever we get back, we get back on track. But but what you were saying has really hit home, and especially the things that I have been studying and stuff like that, and how I was taught that you choose your own path before you are born into this earth. The only thing is, whenever you're born, you forget what your purpose was initially, and you have to let the Spirit guide you back onto that path. And that Spirit is constantly calling you back onto the path, and you have to actually sit down and listen. So when you talk about we gotta let your heart speak, that's those type of things that you're talking about, because you have a first mind whenever you do stuff, and you have to learn how to listen to that first mind. But you always, not you personally, but people doubt themselves and then start second guessing that initial thought that comes to their head, and you have to learn how to sit down and just actually listen to it.
Exactly, and that's true, and that goes back to, because it's just like the older people, I think they were more spiritual back then than we are now. We have no idea, because everything is, let me hurry up and do this, and I got to rush. I got to do, and for what? I mean, where are you going? You're gonna race to get to a stoplight. I mean, I've never understood that. You're racing to go nowhere, and it's just like, why? And then you're having accidents because you're trying to text. I mean, and when you could have just waited till you got to where you had to go and do what you did. What did you do 10, 15 years ago? It's insane, because they have, and this is Satan's goal. He says, I came to steal, kill, and destroy. And slowly but surely, everything's being. And I hate people don't want to hear that there's a Satan. And I'm not saying a lot of things you allow things to happen, but he is there. That world is there. And I'm just like, I'm thinking, even when I was sitting up in that nursing home trying to get care, what do they call it, rehabilitation, they had no idea. They didn't even know. They did nothing for me. And they were just making money. And so we have to wake up and start seeing, okay, we don't get along. On this, our parents, and I have to think about it, because my parents, that home that we're in, I remember sitting in, because I was so quiet, they forgot I was there a lot of times. And I remember hearing my dad with his friend Axel talking, how they had to go in and they had to trick the judge into thinking that it was Axel, who was a Caucasian English guy that was friends with my dad, that he was buying the house. And in order for my dad to buy the house. And it's just, the thing is, all the stuff that they've gone through, all the racism, all the stories that my dad told me from him growing up, and I thank God that he gave it to me, that he told me. And, sometimes you get angry about it, but I know certain things I'm not going to allow to happen. But we have to wake up. Just I remember Spike Lee years ago saying, "Wake up, wake up," and I was like, "What in the hell? What is this?" And I'm thinking, yeah, that's true. We do need to wake up. And now we're more asleep. It looks like we're in a coma.
Well, that's what you have to realize, because it's all part of a master plan. And you also have to, because all this stuff goes into one another, right? And that's why having these multi-generational homes is so important, because all this stuff gets passed down through your DNA.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
So when you look at some of the when I look at some of the different spiritual systems and stuff that I've been studying, they all say the same thing. They say, we know that our children might leave, but we always have the hope that they might come back home. And through this, and through the generations after generation of going through all this mess, we're getting to the point, you see it everywhere, especially here in this country. You see it everywhere. People are taking a pause, and they're like, okay, this whole thing is not working for us.
Right.
Okay, this system here is not working for us. What do we have to do? So you see a lot of people reaching back to find who they were in their past selves, whether it's going back to Christianity, whether the Muslims, whether it's the Hebrew Israelites. All of them are trying to look back to find out that missing key that they're missing, so they can actually go back and get back in touch with who they used to be, because they know that this is not right. They know it's wrong. So you have to take the time to get to know that, and that's why having this multi-generational household is so important, because you get to see all the generations go through all this crap, and you get to learn from this experience. And not only that, whatever they did not conquer, you had the opportunity to conquer that, so that gene does not continuously get passed down from generation to generation.
And with that, I am back.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna get off this subject, and we're gonna let Tiffany get back to the road. But it's all goes together though.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I was listening to you guys, and you guys are right on point with a lot of the, with the whole long-term goals, benefits and everything of the multi-generational household. One other benefit that I heard you guys talking about, the benefits of just witnessing how to take care of business and how to, witnessing things that go on with the older generation. There's also a financial benefit to having multiple generations in one home. Like I said, we had a conversation about this in preparation for this podcast. We were talking about the middle-aged generation, so like my age, James's age, our responsibility, especially now while we're still dependent on the system, we're the earners. So we would go out and we work to earn the money that it takes to start building that homestead, to start making space for the family members to move in and start, we are the earners to make that happen. The aunties and grandmas and grandpas, they would help take care of children while the earners are out there earning a wage until we can get to a point of independence.
Right. Instead of paying $400 or $500 a week to go and to have your children get colds and not being really taken care of, you can have a grandparent there. That's insane to me. Yeah.
Exactly, and it also
it benefits everybody.
It takes away the need to take for it's one home to take care of, so you're not, you don't have every adult taking care of a separate mortgage. You have one family taking care of one household.
That's right.
So it minimizes the amount of money that's going out of the house. Let's see. So it helps adults that are, so you have adults at different stages in their lives. We have some that are college age, some that are fully independent. So for those young adults who are still college age, living in a multi-generational home would allow them the financial freedom to attend a university and not have to worry about living expenses, not have to work 2 and 3 jobs, while they're in school. They can focus on studying while they're there.
Right.
That's right.
And then
that's right.
We don't, and we sit there and we say, well, when you get to be 18, you got to get out of this house, and so and so, so and so. And I still hear people say that now, and I'm just like, what are you prepared in the world? What are you? Somebody may have told you that. That's bull. That's some baloney. That's malarkey. Let me put it like that. But we're going to have to change our minds. Stop listening to what we think. We want to be popular. We want to get on television. We want to do this, that, and the other. But it's something you can't buy. Right. And there are people with millions and billions of dollars that wish they had peace, and they don't.
Right. So some other things that the multi-family members provide is companionship. You don't have those lonely times where you're just by yourself and you don't ever see another adult soul, because you have your family right there around you all the time. It can be a wonderful and joyful thing. And all generations that are within the household benefit. And I'm going to speed up a little bit because the time is starting to get away from us, and I still have a lot to cover. So I'm going to talk about now some things that we can do to make the multi-generational household successful, okay? So, everything has to be in order or else things won't be, they'll fail, basically. So the first thing that I have on my list of things to make it successful and to make it a peaceful experience for everybody is to set family meetings. Mm-hmm. Family meetings is basically how this whole podcast came to life. It was a family meeting that set the seed for this. And it's something that's essential when you have more than two adults. Even with two adults, it's something that's essential to keep the household running smoothly. It can, you can set the interval, whatever works for the family, but it makes sense and it pays dividends to take time to get together, discuss what's going on, discuss what's coming up, discuss what resources you guys have to put toward whatever issues are coming up so that you can come up with solutions as a family. One of the other things you would need to do is to set reasonable expectations and some rules within the house. Because you have so many people that are in the home, it makes sense and it pays dividends again to just set some ground rules, some expectations of what people are expected to do, expected not to do. That kind of thing will help to keep peace within the home. Right. Also, and I'm going to go through these quickly, and then we can kind of discuss them afterwards. Establish some financial responsibilities. Decide who those earners are going to be. So let's say in a perfect world, we could all move in together this weekend. Well, I have an infant, so at this stage, I wouldn't want to be one of the people who are earning until she got old enough to be school age. But as soon as she's old enough, it would be my responsibility to go out and make money or grow or whatever it is we need to do. To make the household function. And, you talk about who's going to take care of what bills, whose responsibility is where. Mm-hmm. Separate the space and make sure that everybody has their own individual space as well as shared space. So because you're going to have less than a few people living there, it'll be very helpful to make sure that people have their own designated space that's just theirs, that they can do whatever they want in. They don't have to worry about other people encroaching on that space. Exactly. And also teach people respect for shared space because there's so many people. Because there's so many people, you don't. If you got somebody who's a clutterbug and you got somebody who's a neat freak, that is going to be a potential tension point. So you want to make sure that you establish some rules and some guidelines and expectations so that everybody can find peace within the home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of this is respect. You got to know that, and I think we take respect out of bounds. It's respecting is I see you, I'm there. And I know that you've got to go and do X, Y, and Z, so I can do P. I can fill in the gaps where you have left, and I can do something like that. And if I see people, we don't know. It's all about me now. And I saw this on a show, and she kept. I wanted them to do, and he wanted, and it was his fault. He did this, and I just wanted to get, and I'm just like, well, where are you taking responsibility for your actions? Because you can't see them. But nobody wants to take that anymore. So I just said I wanted to put that out there because we have got to be adults about this thing.
And speaking of being adults, my last point on this part of the conversation is the last rule is to be good role models because in the family home, you're going to have children there. And they are learning, as we discussed in previous podcasts, they're learning from you. So in order to instill that respect and all that, they have to see you providing that respect. They have to see you treating the elders with deference. They have to see that they're not running. Exactly. Last point. Teach children respect by modeling respect.
Right.
And the last part of family economics is the family compound. That is bringing all this together. Okay, so everything coming together. So what this looks like. So when I hear compound, when I first heard about compounding, I always thought about Utah, some weird, Latter-day Saints commune where there's, like, people living behind big, tall walls and, like, everyone's got their hair in a crazy hairstyle. That's what I think about, what I did think about when I heard that term compound. But it doesn't have to be, like that. It could be something as simple as a couple of families either getting a large house they can all live in, or, the extended members buying homes on the same block, getting ourselves in close proximity so that we can start to establish our own little community. Because once the next step after getting the multi-generational household established is to link your household with your cousin's household and your uncle's household and get all these things together, because that's when you start to really reap the big benefits. Because then you have enough people to sustain a community. You have people that can grow. You have people that can get out in the workforce and earn. You have people that can tend to the children. We can teach our own children. We could establish our own school, get accredited, and not have to send our children out into this crazy system where they're learning
because they're not getting anything. Yeah.
Right, where they're learning all kinds of foolishness and they're making up new types of math that don't make 2 + 2 = 4.
Yes.
Right.
So that is the culminating event. So one day, I hope I live to see this. I would love to be able to know that, my mom and my husband and my children are all in the same household, and my brother has his family next door, and, Paula, you're right down the street, and, other cousins down the street, and we all can be together. We can all be together, living together, loving together, and taking care of each other, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
I agree.
And I think, James, that's what you said, you saw a house or something, like a house that was, like, big enough to basically house entire families.
Yeah. I was looking at it was a huge house, and I was looking at the different pavements on it. But I mean, it was like about 6 bedrooms. I think it had just as many bathrooms in it. This is something to kind of look at. This is kind of spark people's imagination, because even people who practice polygamy, right? And this is not all subject, but this will get an idea. When you see the people that practice polygamy, they have these huge homes, and that's because they have 3 people that are bringing in income into that home. Three or more people. 3 or more people bringing the income into that home, and you could do the same thing just with a regular family setup. So let's say all 3 of us, my mom, and maybe of course Chris and all that. Now we're all bringing, let's say, $1,000 to the table. That's a huge home that we could have, paying mortgage on. Paying $5,000 towards mortgage is not a lot if we're all here paying that money, just a little bit of money. And I mean, this house was immaculate. I mean, it had a pool, it had a jacuzzi indoor. It was huge, and then everybody had a chance to have their own living space as well. So that's something to kind of look at, because it's not really a whole lot of money between all of us individually. Yeah, that's a problem, but between all of us, that's not a lot of money, especially in this area that I live in, which is the DMV area.
Right. And that's what it comes back to, pooling resources for the household. When you expand your concept of what a household is, then those things become attainable. I saw an article, actually, I think it was a video that I saw. It was a guy, he was a doctor, he was retired, and he bought a mansion, and within that mansion, he built small, they were bigger than the average apartment, but
you breaking up, Tiffany.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah, I hear you now.
You're breaking up. Yeah.
So he bought a mansion, and within that mansion, he had many rooms, like the Bible said. He built this mansion, and he brought all his siblings and their families. He brought his parents, everybody within his family who wanted to live there, and they all had their own space, but they were all together. They all were together, and they could live and love together. So that that's my goal. I would love to be able to work toward that, and hopefully I will be able to bring you guys some ideas, so that you can start small and start working toward that goal.
Exactly. Right. And you got to bring them in. If you don't know them, you have to bring them in one at a time. Sometimes, you have to let this one know the rules, and then the other, and then let them know the rules. Because before, it's just we have to know how to. We've got to. What is the word? I'm trying to. We've not come together, really, as for a common goal. Not when I say we, I'm talking about us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything is I want this and I want that, instead of saying we can have this and we can have that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Right.
Jesus never, even in the Bible, they never say I, they say we. And we wash all over that. We don't pay. Oh my God said, in the midst of the storm said I. And I'm just like, okay, what does it say, my God? Not one time. I'm not talking about it's a nice song and everything else, but that is not what we've been taught. And if you want to say that you're a Christian and you're going by that 66 books, them 66 books never tell you, my God. Only when somebody was coming from the outside in saying, your God, tell your God to do X to me and for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that, this concluded my series on healing our community. I hope that I was able to enlighten you and bring some things into your mind, stir some things up in your spirit. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts. You can email me by clicking on my photo at Ties That Bind.
Yes, and I guess Tiffany is ending our session. And so
well, I'm not ending the session. I'm just ending my talking points. I'm not trying to stop the conversation, though.
Yeah, and she did bring up something that I have not spoken of. We are getting ready to end. We have gone way over our time, and I hope you all listen to the whole thing. Sometimes we get off topic, but it's still on topic. But we do have our pictures on the website, and all you have to do is click on the picture, or I have added a link on it says email me to each individual if you want to send a message to all. And you have to go to what does it say, James? The next page, and it tells you you can leave a message and XYZ, and it's on the actual site itself. And so I'll try to lead you all there. But in saying that, we had a wonderful time. I enjoyed talking to you all, and I'm going to say that we have been talking about so much tonight, and I don't know where to end it, but the children are our future. And if we don't pour into them, if we don't put into them what we are eventually, whether we want to get it from them or not, we're going to get it from them, be it good or bad. So we need to know who our God is and instill that into our children and instill that into our hearts and become, when you know better, you do better. And the Bible tells us that. And so in ending, I'm gonna say that you all stay blessed. And until we meet again, I'm going to turn it over to James and Tiffany, and then we will end. Love you.
All right.
James.
All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback off of that just a little bit. Just know that every member in the family is important. The kids are just as important as the elders, and that's why it's important to have everybody in the household together. That way we can continue this cycle or this circle of life so the generation can move forward together, because everybody plays a part in every single role. And if we all have the same mindset, we can really progress and go really, really far. But I'm going to end with these words. In this life, we're taught many things, but I challenge you to find what matters most to you, and that is Gnosis, knowing thyself. Know your past so you can operate in the present to secure your future you always dreamed of.
Exactly.
Tiffany?
All right. And I'm going to leave you with this parting meditation. This is coming from Matthew chapter 5, verses 15 and 16. People, don't light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine in front of people. Then they will see the good that you do and praise your Father in heaven. Amen.
Amen. I agree. And until we meet again, yes, and bless you, and we will see you soon. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.